Welcome to Community Keys. Our mission is to spotlight the impact theory community members, where they come from, how they got here, and where they are headed. I'd like to encourage our audience to reach out to these members, make friends, build relationships, and lift each other up. I have a real treat for you all today. Let me introduce you to today's guest. Her name is Shay, the Melon Mind Mom, a true OG and an incredibly active member of our Discord. If you're in the Discord, you've probably already talked to her. She brightens the chat with her positivity and encouraging messages, and it wouldn't be the same without her. Her name is Shay, a mother of two and married to her husband for 10 years. She's a dental hygienist with a passion for helping people, both in the chair and in the Discord. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great myself. So we'll just kind of jump straight into it. And the first question I would like to ask is, who was Shay growing up?
So I have a big family. My parents are divorced and, they both remarried, and I've got 7 siblings, spread out between the 2 of them. So I've always had that, nurturing kind of mindset. I want to help people, and I've been raised to be that way. So there, I think, lends into the Melon mom a little bit.
Are you the youngest or old? Like, what number were you?
So with my biological siblings, I'm the oldest.
Okay.
But then with my steps and halves, I'm smack dab in the middle. So, but anytime my brother and I would go to my dad's house together, it was me and him. And I, had that maternal protective instinct, I think, a little bit. So it made me, but I love to connect to people, and I always have since I was a young child. I mean, my mom used to have people from the street come in and eat dinner with us, little kids. She fed people constantly, she was trying to outreach with people constantly. So it really kind of put it into me to be that way too. I want to
That's really cool.
help.
I feel like you get to meet like a lot of like new people like that too. Just like that most people never really do that type of like thing. But I think it's like super awesome. Do you have any like cool experiences?
I do. So let me just say that I absolutely hated it when I was a kid. I wanted to be the focus, like I think every kid does. Yeah. And so we had these strange people in our house all the time. So, but actually my mom, one day she decided to take us to the Philippines. So one of those cool experiences, and we didn't have a lot of money growing up. So she sold all of our furniture. We had like a couple of fishing chairs set out in our living room for a while, like probably for a straight year, but we got to do a missions trip for 3 weeks over in the Philippines. And I got to meet a lot of people that were completely poverty stricken, but their hearts were so big. And it taught me to be grateful for the things that I have. And I actually got to sleep in the middle of one of those lean-tos that they have out there. So it's basically a shack house with a bunch of other shacks leaning against it. And they had a core bathroom that they shared, and it fed into my need to connect to other cultures and my need to connect to other people, and it just, like I said, made me really grateful for the things that we did have.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it helped contribute to like a lot about who you are today. So
absolutely, it absolutely did.
Yeah. So to go a little bit more into like who you are, like do you have any like jobs fresh out of college? Did you go to college?
Okay, like, so I would be a career student if I had the money to do so. Right out of high school, I went into college for communications and marketing. I did an internship at Walt Disney World, and that was so much fun and really changed kind of my outlook on a lot. I didn't want children before that, and went to Disney, saw all these wonderful kids, wanted to have kids right after that. Came home, met my husband, and that's all she wrote with that. And then probably about 3-4 years ago, I decided to go back to college and get another degree in dental hygiene. So I have that as well. And I would go again, and I might one day. Ooh. Although I'm sure my husband wouldn't be
Do you know what you would want to get?
Now that we're doing all this stuff, I'm like, it's really kind of interesting to do something in coding or some kind of computer science. It would be useful.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then also, how did you know your husband was the one, if you don't mind me asking?
So really weird story. And just to kind of go back to even how who I am and how it built me up. We're very much into relationship with God. You know, we're Christians, you know, so, but the reason I mentioned that is I felt like I was literally praying one day and told that I would marry a man named John, right? So I started dating my husband after I got back from Disney, and he introduced himself as Ben. You know, we were hanging out and we were really building a fun relationship. And one day after one of our dates, he goes, "You do know my real name's John, right?" And his name is John.
Your prayers just came true.
I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm going to marry you. Of course, I didn't tell him at the time, and his mom talks about it all the time and says that like 3 months into us dating, he had already bought a ring, and, you know, so he knew. I didn't realize that soon.
Yeah, that's actually so crazy how it just ended up being like the person you were praying for. So
yeah, and he has been, and he's been my best friend. I mean, we both were going to a work outing, and he didn't work with me, but he played on the softball team for my company that I worked with at the time. And he called his best friend, and his best friend's like, "Come out to this thing with us." And I was in the parking lot, and I called into my friends that were there, and I'm like, "I don't think I want to come into this thing, guys. I'm kind of uncomfortable. I just want to go home." Apparently he did the exact same thing to his best friend, and we both got convinced to come in, and I'm glad we did. We haven't separated since. Wow. So
that's so cool.
It's been fun.
All right, well, that's awesome to get to know a lot more about you. And then to transition kind of into the next portion is about how you came to like impact theory in general, and why did you choose this community to invest like a lot of your time and energy into?
So talk about my husband again, right? He about 1.5 years ago was like, "Hey, I want to invest some money into ETH and some of this cryptocurrencies." And honest to God, I looked at it and I'm like, "This stuff's so stupid. I don't think you should do this. Like, we have this amount of money to spend. You can spend it, but I think this is really dumb." You know, and then as the year progressed, I just watched him dive into it and how much interest and passion he showed for it. And I'd watch him code out some projects that he wanted to build or things like that. And I'm like, you know, I think I kind of want to get involved in this a little bit more. And so I did, but it started off with me being on Twitter trying to literally just shill the project that we had started.
I feel like that's no idea. Starts.
Yeah, I'm like, I had no idea what I was doing. And I got on there and I'm like, everybody needs to check this out. And every time somebody said chill here, I was there. I mean, I literally got my Twitter disconnected because they thought I was a bot. And I had to reach back out and tell them, like, I'm a real person, you know? So they turned it back on. And one day I saw Tom on Instagram, and it was just an ad because of the crypto thing, you know, that he was starting to share his projects. And he had mentioned something on his Instagram about how much he loved his wife. And I'm like, well, I'm in this space because of my husband, you know, and the thing we're going to build. So I'm going to look into that. And I clicked into that and saw some of his videos. So, you know, I'm a lot different than a lot of people in the community because they've been following him for years and years. And I found him in a very strange way, I guess I should say. And so I clicked into his community or into the IT and the impact theory, and I loved it. I mean, everybody there is so positive, and I looked at my husband, I'm like, this is what it's about. Like, this is cool. I want to get involved in impact theory, and I want to get more involved in sharing positivity through NFTs. So, and I haven't wanted to leave since.
Yeah. And then just like another question on that is like, how do you think impact theory has helped you like find yourself more outside of just being like a mother?
Well, you know, it's a good question. With all this stuff that's been going on in like the world with pandemic and politics, I was feeling so negative and just drained, you know, and I love connecting to people normally, but I'm like, it's full of negativity. So I was withdrawing a lot in the real world and focusing mostly just on family, and my focus is definitely still there, but getting to plug in and talk to people like you and just feeling that there's truly people out there who want the best for other people. And it made me just realize that part of me is still very much alive, and realize that I want to do more to be able to connect to people and to light up the world. And you know, that's my mission. And impact theory reminded me of that. So it helped me to be an individual in that way for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really love your story and how you like feel about the community, because that's what really brings everyone together. So yeah. And then is there anything that you are looking forward to in the future, either in NFTs, the Discord, or just like in your unique life journey that you like to touch upon on like where you're headed?
Well, I would definitely, of course, not to shill here either, but I'm excited to expand Project Guppy, of course. We are very interested in doing the gamification of NFTs and making it something that's reachable for people. So that's why we chose to put our project on Polygon. And, gas fees are way lower and a little more affordable. And we want people to be able to plug into our game and really enjoy themselves and kind of bring out their inner child a little bit. And, this is kind of a stepping stone for us too, because we have other projects in mind as we progress with this one that we really want to expand upon. So as far as the NFT world's concerned, I would love to do this full time. Yeah. I think all of us would.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
But that's definitely that part of my journey. And I want to connect eventually to doing something that'll help, again, build up the world, send some positivity out there, help people get water if I can, I want our NFTs to do something for the greater good of the world.
Yeah. So I always hear you talk about it and I see the profile pics. Would you be able to just like explain briefly like what the purpose is or just like a little bit more about it? Because I'm just very curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to. So Project Guppy right now is basically SVG files that we are using to create male guppies. And if you've seen any kind of guppy in the real world, they're very colorful, beautifully arrayed, they're fan-shaped tails and things like that. And we wanted to create a bunch of different males so that we're going to drop a female too eventually, right? And we were going to start a breeding game. So you get to breed your fish out and build your aquarium to the kind of aesthetic that you want. And, I'm looking forward to doing more with the aquarium environments too, whether there's coral or something, but that's a little bit more in the future. We just now dropped to our first self-minting app. So people can either go on and shop for the kind of guppy that they want right off the bat, or they can go and do a self-minting, which basically is our version of letting your guppy choose you. So, you've got a little bit more of that universe aspect.
That's pretty cool.
Something come to you that way. Yeah, it's fun. It's mysterious that way. But I told somebody before, and you can see this on our community too, that this whole project started because my husband didn't have very much money growing up either. And when he was a kid, he would make paper aquariums and paper guppies. And, or just any kind of paper fish to build these aquariums. And then he fell in love with gaming. And then it built into this thing now where we're adults and we want to connect to what we loved as children. And we want to give that back to the community. Like, just come out and play with us.
Yeah, wait, that's really cool. I'm glad. I'll definitely check it out. And I always see your pictures. I saw the giveaways going on. So, but yeah, so
it's exciting to see it kind of like take off a little bit. And, we might see a couple of the profile pictures on there. And that's been a fun aspect for me, is trying to figure out how to build a community and connect it to everybody. And, the first time somebody's like, what's up with all these fish PFPs or profile pictures on here? And I'm like, yes, that was my goal. I want you to ask about it. And so it's cool to watch. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so since we don't want these going too long, I'm going to kind of start to wrap it up. So prior to the last question, I would like to encourage all of you, the audience, to go follow Shay on Twitter at MaidenShale, MaidenShale, and her website, projectguppy.com. You can also at Shay in the Impact Theory Discord to strike up a conversation there, because she would love to talk with you and get to know more of you. And all of this info will be in the show notes as well, so you can just check it out after this last question. And with that being said, what is one lesson you would want to teach your children or the younger version of yourself because of the impact it had on your life?
This is huge. And getting to listen to this question in the previous podcast, I was like, whew, that goes deep. But I think that especially raising daughters, just to remember the value that you have in yourself. And, I had a lot of things happen as a young woman that kind of derailed my own self-worth and understanding that I have something to offer the world. And I would go back and tell myself, and I want to tell my children every day, that everybody has something to offer the world, and they have so much self-worth that the world would literally wouldn't be the same. without you and what you have to offer. So I think that would be it.
That's a really empowering message and something that would be great to end off on. So I'm so thankful to have you on, and I appreciate everything you do for the community. And for the audience, I would like you all to remember that relentless heroes become legendary. So join the Discord, connect with Shay, and until next time, peace.
Thank you.